All right, let's get right into it. We're going to tackle one of the most critical skills any professional driver needs to master: how to safely load and unload hazardous materials. And look, this isn't just about passing some test. This is about knowing how to prevent a total disaster on the road.
We're kicking things off with this warning because, honestly, it's the whole ballgame. This one phrase, straight out of the commercial driver's manual, is the reason for every single rule we're about to cover. Because when you're dealing with hazmat, there's just no such thing as a small mistake.
So let's be clear. These rules aren't just some annoying paperwork or red tape. They are life-saving procedures. They exist because, believe me, experience has shown just how fast things can go sideways when you're hauling this stuff.
I mean, really think about that for a second. A single, tiny leak from one compromised package, that could be all it takes to start a massive fire, an explosion, or a toxic chemical cloud. That's why these rules are so strict. And it's why your eye for detail is probably the most important piece of safety equipment you've got. Okay, so before a single package even gets near your vehicle, there's a lockdown routine you have to go through. Every single time. This is not optional, it's the absolute foundation for a safe haul. So here are the 4 non-negotiables. First up, set that parking brake. That vehicle cannot move, not even an inch. Second, kill the engine, and that means no smoking, not anywhere near the vehicle or the cargo. Third, you gotta do a full sweep of the cargo space. Look for anything sharp, nails, screws, anything that could puncture a package. And finally, check that floor. Make sure it's tight, and if you need a liner, make sure it's the right one.
All right, vehicles prepped. Now we're talking about actually handling the materials themselves. This is where you have to be incredibly careful. It's all about precision.
Let's be crystal clear on this one. The number one rule is you never drop, throw, or just casually roll a package, ever. The only time you can even think about rolling a container is if a specific safety procedure actually requires it. This is not about making your life easier. It's a rule for very specific, controlled situations.
And once the package is inside, it's got to stay put. You have to brace everything so it can't fall, slide, or bounce around while you're driving. Keep all hazmat far away from heat sources. And for things like compressed gases or radioactive materials, absolutely zero overhang. Nothing on the tailgate. And if you're dealing with fragile containers of corrosive liquids, you load them carefully, one by one.
Now, on top of all those general rules, a lot of hazard classes have their own special playbook. This is where your specific training and knowledge really matter. For instance, if you're hauling explosives, you need good ventilation. Hauling flammable solids or oxidizers, well, those guys can get really unstable if they get wet, so they have to be completely enclosed and kept dry. No racks for your gas cylinders? Then they have to be on a perfectly flat floor. Even something common like car batteries, you have to load them so there's no way the liquid can spill out. And now we get to one of the most important and kind of complex parts of the job: segregation. See, some materials are fine by themselves, but if they mix with something else, they can become incredibly dangerous. Your job is to be the bouncer that makes sure they never, ever meet. This chart just scratches the surface, but it gives you an idea. You absolutely cannot load certain explosives anywhere near things like corrosives or poison gas. And here's a huge one to remember. Never, ever load cyanides near any kind of acid. You know what happens when they mix? They can create deadly cyanide gas. These aren't suggestions, they are hard and fast rules. And speaking of acids, here's a special rule just for nitric acid that you have to burn into your memory. It can never, and I mean never, be loaded above any other cargo. Why? Because if that stuff leaks, it's not just going to damage what's below it, it could cause a violent, incredibly dangerous chemical reaction. And the list goes on. The most dangerous types of explosives? You can't haul them in triple trailers. You can't haul them in the same vehicle as food. And you can't have them in a truck with a sleeper cab. And get this, you can't transport poisons with food for people or animals unless that poison is in a very specific, government-approved container. It's all about protecting the public. So, after the shipper has done all the loading, guess what? The spotlight swings right over to you, the driver. You are the final inspection. You're the last line of defense before that truck hits the highway. And your job here is simple. You are always watching for leaks or damaged packages. If you spot one, you do not move that truck. Simple as that. Once everything is loaded and sealed, you do not open any package for any reason.
And finally, you have to be 100% sure you have the specialized training for the exact material you're hauling. This quote really sums it all up, doesn't it? The whole point is to take everything you've learned and apply it in the real world without ever skipping a single warning or limit or procedure. It's not just about knowing the rules, it's about executing them perfectly. So, that brings us to the final question, and this one's for you. When you're out there, the pressure's on, and things are moving fast, are you truly ready to apply every single one of these rules without even a split second of hesitation? Because being able to answer yes to that, well, that's what makes you a professional.